Greetings, everyone. How are you guys doing? I am the Moon Mama, and today is Monday, and the moon is in the very final minutes of Cancer before it goes into Leo, and we're headed to a full moon. I'm about to have a cacao ceremony, and so come with me as I make a cacao. Um, so I get like this is cacao from Costa Rica, and put it in some hot water. And let me see if I can get all my ingredients together. So the water, hmm. Okay, yeah. So the moon is in Cancer today, and it's in Cancer for like the next 20 minutes, and then it's going into Leo. And I wanted to talk about our intuition, and because the water signs are how we access our emotions, our feelings, our intuition. And I'm also making some cacao. So there are many things going on right here, right now. So that's mushroom. That I use this one, the mud water. So I put cacao, I put mud water, honey from the farmer's market. I pretty much shop exclusively at a farmer's market, you all. I just, like all this bird flu stuff that they're talking about, and the eggs. When I go to the farmer's market, every single time the eggs are there. I don't like, I live in a completely different reality. I don't even understand what's happening um, when I hear stuff, because that's just not my experience. And it's because I live in this way that's sort of unique to me. And y'all have to excuse my hair. I'm really just having a work day at home, and I'm just doing the things to take care of myself. And I was like, I'm gonna just get on here and talk and share what's going on, because today is Monday, and Monday is the day that the moon rules, and the moon is in the final moments of Cancer. And so I'm doing cacao because I want to do some heart opening work. So yesterday, a friend of mine and I, James, he might be here on this call, went for a hike. We go walk together. Let me get my milk for my cacao. And we went for a walk. And um, this is milked walnuts. And I'm going to add that to the cacao. So we went for a walk. We go to the forest usually like once a month, and it is the most exhilarating experience ever. And I am so clear that the evolutionary and healing process has to include nature. You love this one? It is so good, yes. It has to include nature. And so my friend James is somebody who's very nature focused already. And I grew up in the city, and I grew up in the hood. And, when I grew up, it wasn't common for Black people to be out doing nature things. That just was it was like, huh? But I happened to have these neighbors that lived across the street from me, who used to take me hiking and take me to the beach and do all those sort of things. So I got exposed to it as a child, but it wasn't a value based something from my family. I also have this rubber band on my ear right now. You guys, I'm so wacky. Like, I do all sorts of things to get me focused, because you guys hear how I can talk on many different topics all at once. So focus is important for me. Okay, so I had the neighbors who would take me hiking, and well, they would take me camping is what they would do. Like one time they took me camping, and maybe a couple times they took me to the beach. as a child. Like so, and I remember I went to the beach so few times. I went to the beach so few times as a child. I lived in Los Angeles, and I went to the beach so few times that I remember it. And I only lived 30 minutes away from the beach, right? Like, because it was not a part of my family's value system. It just wasn't. So the things that I got exposed to, and so now this is my cacao and I'm pouring it here. The things that I got exposed to were because neighbors did it. It wasn't because my family did it. So, my grandmother wasn't saying, "Oh, I want to go hiking," or, or she wasn't even she didn't garden, but we did have a lot of fruit trees. Move us set. We did have a lot of fruit trees. Um, so when I started doing my spiritual work to really heal, um, nature became a really key component. And it was in my experience with my friend James, because he grew up in nature. And this is another thing that I've said. James is he's a white person. He's a white gay man. White people have more access to, like like I said, it was I didn't know any black people that hiked. I didn't know any black people that hiked. I didn't know any. I feel it's more common now, but that wasn't available. There were no black people that were doing those kinds of things. And the fact that I had a neighbor that actually was is astounding. They were the only ones. And the woman in the neighborhood she took all the kids. Like, she would literally gather up all the kids in the neighborhood and be like, okay, we're going camping. And, she would get a bus. This is just a regular woman like me. I mean? There was nothing, she wasn't a school teacher. She just had four kids and was like, I'm going to take all the kids in the neighborhood. So it wasn't available to us as black people the way that, if you there were, like, the community pools in the neighborhood, right? Like, white people didn't want black people in the community pools. So many black people don't know how to swim because of racism, y'all. Not because we just didn't do it, because it was made illegal. It was, so the things that were available to white people were not available to black people, is what I'm trying to say. um and so my my experience has been, when I've been in friendships with white people, they just have a much more adventurous spirit, generally, because there are people, black people, who have a adventurous spirit. And my friend James is one of those. Um, Parks was white only up to 1964. Yes, like, literally, it was illegal for us to go do these things. Isn't that remarkable that it was illegal for us to go do these things? So, um, so yesterday, James and I have been doing this now for a few years. We go hiking once a month. We go online and we look up a trail, and then we just get in his car and drive. Your father learned to swim in a river. Yes. That's nice. Yes. My father taught me to swim. It's the one thing my father taught me, was to swim. The one thing. And he was angry because he couldn't compete as a swimmer because he was black. So he was always enraged about the fact that he couldn't go compete because he was black and all this sort of stuff. Okay, let me go. I'm doing too many stories. So yesterday, James and I get in the car. We go on the app, we pick a trail, and we drive an hour and a half, 2 hours away out of Los Angeles into the Angeles forest, the Los Angeles forest. Ah, I mean, you guys, it really is a forest. I'm gonna post some pictures here. It's like, all you can see for miles. All you can see is mountaintops and trees. Um, and it was incredible. And whenever we go, I really just surrender because it's it's a it's something that I don't have a lot of intelligence around. Um, I don't I don't know how to navigate the environment. I It all looks the same to me. I always have a little trepidation, like, are we going to get lost or something like that? Like it's sort of always there. But James, he gets it. He knows it. Like he knows where we are. Just like he just and it's just and I just get to relax. I literally just get to be a girl. I literally get to just check out and be like, he's got it. And it's a very interesting thing because I'm always aware that I have surrendered, that I'm on his energy. It's up to him. I don't know where we are, I don't know what we're doing. This is all on him. And it always feels a little bit interesting to me, like, that's an interesting thing because I've never had that in my life. Like, my parents didn't raise me. Like I raised myself. So I've always been aware. I've always been conscious of my environment. Even as a child, I was. I remember once I was in Louisiana with a girlfriend of mine, and we went into like the ninth ward. I don't know what we were doing. I don't know what we were thinking, but we went into the ninth ward and we went to like a little homemade club, and there was like a marching band in it. I mean, when I tell you the place was no bigger than my living room, there was a marching band in there. I don't know how all these people were in this little homemade club, but when I was got there, I was like, oh, these people are aware that we are not from here, the men, and I was watching them watch us. And my friend was somebody who had been married all her life. So she was unaware that they were watching us. But I was aware that they were watching us. And so at some point I said to her, as she's just doing her little, because there's a marching band in there. And I said, we need to leave. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, we're not safe here. We need to go. There are a few people watching us. So I ordered an Uber, and they start coming to try to, and she's not listening to me. And I'm like, I had to snatch her up. I was like, bitch, we need to go. And got her. And this man it was a real thing. But I have always been watching. I am paying attention. I know what's going on. So when we go into the woods, and I'm with James, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, doo doo, doo doo. And when we went in yesterday, we were in this place, like we literally went into the belly of the mountain. We went into the belly of the mountain, and we were in the place, and there were so many roads and paths and trees and not no markers. And the voice inside of me said, you're going to get lost. And I heard it, but I was already surrendered, so I didn't know what to do. I didn't say anything. I just was like, "Oh, we're gonna get lost," and I just surrendered to it. And when I tell you, we went for a long, we hiked deep down into the belly of the mountain. We were deep. Oh, it was amazing to be in the belly of the mountain, and I was singing, like, and it's something I don't do. I literally was just singing to the mountain and the earth, and and James is with me, and we're going, and I'm following, and he's leading, and we're just going. And then it's time for us to come out, and we at the end we had walked 16,000 steps, so whatever that is, 16,000 steps. But at some point we realized that we are lost. As we come out of the belly of the mountain, we're like, we're lost. And James is like he's besides himself in a Virgo way. So James is a Virgo too. We're both Virgo. So there's a calmness. There's a calmness in a Virgo. Like even when we don't know, we're like, huh, how is it that I don't know? My song was a prayer. Yes, it was. And it's so we were both stunned. We were both stunned that he didn't know. We were both shocked. He was like, I don't know. And I was like, you don't know? And we were both shocked. And so we just kept walking and moving. But the thing that I was so aware of was that the voice had told me, the voice said, you're going to get lost. My intuition spoke. And I heard it, but I didn't know how to fully engage it. And that's what this conversation is about. I just told a long ass story to get to this. When we hear the voice inside of ourselves, like when because to function, like I don't know, James, are you functioning from intuition when we're on those hikes and you know where we're going and you know, is that intuition or is that instinct, whatever it is, but the voice inside of me. So when we were trying to find our way back, the thing that I saw was that we walked towards the moon. And that's where we found the car. We were walking towards the moon because the moon was out. It was still daylight. It was like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the moon was out. And so it's like I had heard the voice. You're both, okay. I had heard the voice. I had recognized that I heard it, but I didn't engage it. Like, so when the voice said, you're going to get lost, I possibly could have been like, oh, I just heard a voice say you're going to get lost. I did not do that. That could have shifted the reality, the experience. And so, this ability to build our intuition, where does your intuition come from? How are you cultivating your intuition? Um, Yes, I did. I surrendered and went. I went anyway, even though I knew I would get lost. That's a good thing. I did. I agreed to go get lost. I surrendered. Yes. Um, and I noticed there was a tension and a fear in me when we were lost. Like I was aware of like, oh, it's gonna be daytime for a lot. Oh, it's cold. I would check in with James and say, how are you feeling to determine how I should feel? Like I was checking in with him. Do you feel okay? So I can determine if you're okay, then I'm okay. Like it was like those kinds of things were going on with me. As an Aries, I tend to only take chances if I feel compelled to. Ah, that's some intuition. Yes, okay. And what about if people around you don't agree with you? Because I have done things like when Donald Trump was first running for president, I voted for him. I voted for him in the booth on a split moment because I heard a voice that said, vote for Donald Trump. I literally heard a voice. I hear voices, and I have heard voices call my name in the wind. And then I also have this other thing where I have a knowing, a gut feeling in my stomach. Um, so this morning, for instance, I was on with my partner who I'm creating this new community with, and they were like, let's work on Wednesday and not today in our planning. And I was like, no, we got to work today. We have to work today. We can work for a shorter time. We can push it back, but we have to do it today. And my gut was like, no, we today is the day. And typically when she would if somebody would say they don't want to do it, I would concede and go, okay, we can push it back. But now I'm in this place where I'm like, nope, this is it. Like I have to follow what I'm doing. And this relationship to intuition, to instinct, to communing with the divine, how do we build relationship with it? How do we trust it? How do we activate it? How do we, and this is a part of this master nodal class because the North Node is in Pisces, y'all. And the Pisces is about intuition. And the moon in Cancer has been about being in your own body, trusting your Cancer rules the stomach, your gut. The South Node in Virgo is the gut, it's the lower digestive system, but it really is a signal in the body. And most of us have lived in our minds, in our intellect for so long, we're not connected to our sensory selves, what it feels like, right? When something feels aligned, when something feels synced, when something feels out of alignment, when something feels off, right? Like me being in that club with my friend and being like, no, girl, like these are sharks. We about to be eaten alive. You know what I mean? And like cultivating a deep trust because we need that now more than ever. If we don't have that now, we will not be okay. And what I know for me, mine has always been this energy that's, it's like a voice in my head. And it's okay, Offset. It's a voice, move, honey. It's a voice in my head that, um, it's a voice in my head that speaks, and it's also a gut feeling. But I have ignored it so often. I have ignored it so much that I am becoming aware of how much I've ignored it. Sam, you are a Cancer with a Pisces. Like, Sam, you have a lot of Cancer Pisces energy, and I would imagine that makes you very intuitive. Or yeah, and you're an artist, right? So I feel like artists access this energy because they're listening and they're taking downloads. But those of us who are not artists, you need to be an account or whatever, you know what I mean? You can, a bus driver, we need it now because the world is changing. And as we move into the age of Aquarius, we are developing our bodies, our systems, our consciousnesses, our spirits. We're being reorganized. We're being recoded, and the power is anchored in your intuition. It's anchored in your ability to listen, your ability to sense, and you've got to trust it. You know what I mean? So there's that movie with Harriet Tubman, about Harriet Tubman, where she could hear the voice. So for me, that's why I read the stars. Like I noticed yesterday, like, oh, we followed the moon to the car because the moon is always going to lead me. Like, what's the message that the universe is giving me? How does the universe speak to me? Feelings are intense for say, yes, feelings are intense. And for me, let me tell you guys, for years, I always interpreted my feelings only through sexuality because I was exposed to sex so early in my life when I was a young person. And for those of us who understand the pleasure and the energy of sex and how it rushes through the body, the feelings, because I was exposed to that so young, it commandeered my brain patterns. And so everything that felt like pleasure had to be associated with sex. So I had been rewiring my whole body, my whole system. And many of you motherfuckers need to do this. Because many of us have been exposed to stuff early through negligent parenting and negligent all sorts of stuff. All of that over sexual energy that many of us have. Let me say it this way: your sexuality is your connection to the divine. Your sexuality is your connection to God, to creativity. Your sexuality is a core component of who you are. You have to understand it from the way it's meant to work so that you can use it how you want to use it, but it can't use you. And many of us are being used by our sexuality. Let me tell you, it has been the hardest thing in the world. I have literally rid myself of parasites, and I maybe one day I'll teach a class on how to heal your sexual nature. It's maybe I don't know. It's so much work though. It's so much work. But this nodal class, you can do it here. Like start it right because Virgo governs our that sexual area. Virgo is that primal urge. That is what Virgo is, and that is connected to our sexuality. So this work is helping us do that. Feelings via intimacy is tricky because most others won't compliment or reciprocate. Ooh, yes, Sam. So that helps us really understand the complex nature that we have as humans around our sexuality. And because we've judged it, because we've misused it, my aunt is eating up Ossette's food. Let me tell you, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry that I cut my aunt. she is my aunt. Don't do that. She eats Ossette's food, and then Ossette doesn't have any food. So our sexuality is very complex. Our human experience is complex, right? But it got hijacked by religion, by gender roles, by marriage, right? It got compartmentalized by these ideas and notions of what is good and what is wrong and what is right and what is all of that sort of stuff. And because we have these preferences in our sensual sexual nature, we begin to splinter off like that's bad and oh I don't want to be seen as that and like so for instance gay people like for years I remember when it was just unheard of to be like everyone gay had to be under the rug, under the carpet. And so imagine what that does in a person's subconscious that something that is so true to who they are is seen as a crime, right? Like this stuff is deeply traumatizing, these ways, so for women, it's like if you have a high sexual appetite as a woman and you're supposed to be pure, what that does inside of your system, right? And these central sexual energies are the core of our intuition. They're the core of our creative power. They're the core of our ability to feel ourselves and know and like that feeling. It's a real thing. And like I said, when I was young, I always associated any good feelings with sex, and then I would project it onto a boy like, oh, now I'm in love with him. But now as an adult I'm like, oh, that feeling, what is that? Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like now I'm beginning to learn how to reassign my sensory system and my gut instincts and my desire and my feelings of enthusiasm into information communication, because that's all it is. It's information. And learning to listen, learning to hear, however it speaks to you. It's different for everyone. But however it speaks to you, it's your responsibility to learn the language of it. Like I'm pointing us in the direction of this stuff, but your own natal chart will tell you how you are coded to all of this stuff. You got to study your natal chart. You got to study your natal chart so you know how you'll function. Because here's the thing, we've been in a world that said everybody's meant to function like this. This is how everyone's meant to function. You're supposed to be tall and blonde and blue eyed, and you're supposed to be rich and a doctor. Like everyone's meant to function. And so everyone aspires to that. And then you fall off where you do. And, but there's that hierarchy. The reality is that nature says everyone is meant to function as they are meant to function. A platypus does this, a beaver does this, a giraffe does this, a cat does this, a dog does this, a bird does this, a mountain does this, a river. And you are meant to function the way you are meant to function, but you have to know what that's like. What website do I use for my natal chart? I have software because I'm an astrologer. I don't really use a website. I spent $1,000 on software because I have hundreds of people. You know what I mean? This is what I do. So I don't really use. But I like AstroSeek. I really like AstroSeek. I don't use them for my. I don't use them for charts though. I purchased software, because it's my job. This is what I do, right? This is right. So I can't. Yeah, that makes sense. Another one I think is a good one is Astro.com. Astro.com is really good. So yeah, so learn your chart, study it day and night, read it like the Bible. That's the Bible, y'all. Your chart is the Bible. Your chart is the Bible. Learning who you are will help you access Christ inside of you. It will help you ascend and become who you're meant to be. It will help you conquer your lower nature, right? So when we become more intuitive, more instinctual, we're conquering our lower nature. And when our sexuality runs us, when our sexuality, our desires for earthly things, sex, food, all of that, when they dominate us, we're here. We're supposed to enjoy the earth realm. We're supposed to participate in this. But when it dominates us, it drains our force. It drains our ability to commune with spirit. It, my aunt, y'all see how bossy they are? Just bossy. Oh, they're both bossy. I'm gonna let them out. Okay. Yeah. So when we're not using these energies correctly and they're caught up in our, hold on a second. Come on. Come on. Offset. Offset. I'm sorry. Hold on. Girl, come. Okay. Um yeah, so when we don't use our energies correctly, and then they drain our life force. That's what happens. They drain our life force. So then we get sick. We get depressed. Our relationships are challenging. Our finances, because our energy is being vampired by things that are out of alignment with us. All right, y'all. So the moon today, my suggestion for today, I'm going to go do a spiritual bath on Mondays. Every Monday I do a spiritual bath. I take a spiritual bath. So this is the master nodal class. And today, because the moon is in Cancer, I've been talking about intuition, because intuition is a major component of this cycle that we're in, because the North Node is in Pisces, and Pisces is about intuition, imagination, subconscious. So we're developing that for the next 18 months. And how we're developing it is that we're clearing out old behaviors, old patterns that don't serve us, and we alchemize it. We take the old behavior. So my old behavior of, not trusting myself, not like comparing myself to others, or thinking that I'm weird or that something is wrong with me because my life is different than everybody else's, right? I take those energies and transmute them into a deep sense of trusting that um trusting that I'm who I'm meant to be. Like understanding the greater experience, and that everybody here is here because they're meant to be here. So if everybody's here is here because they're meant to be here, then I'm meant to be here. Then I'm meant to be here. So all these thoughts I have against myself are harming my purpose and mission. And with the sun in Aquarius, and the moon reflecting the light of the sun. The moon was in Cancer, the sun is in Aquarius. Aquarius is your authentic self. It's the God self. It's the self that you were before you had a mother and father. You have always existed. It's the self that you had before you dropped into this time continuum experience and had this mother and father. So with the moon in Cancer, which is home, your body, your lineage, You want to begin to recode yourself to your higher self. You want to transmute those energies that you were born into with your mother and father into the higher self. We're in a state of alchemy, right? It's a spiral. And so, it's like, oh, your mother and father created you, and then you spiral up and you create. And so you are always creating based on that foundation that you got from your mother and father. But you are not here to repeat those patterns. You're here to up level those patterns. You're here to grow beyond them, because at this time on the planet, that's what we're doing. That's the era that we're in, right? So we have to give thanks to our parents. Thank you. You cannot hold anything against your parents. You cannot, let me say it one more time. You cannot hold anything against your parents, okay? So if you're holding stuff against your parents for whatever reason, begin to do the work to release it, to heal it, to let it go, to see it from a new perspective, to transmute it. And in doing so, you free yourself and you free them. And you take a step up, and you take a step up. So, all right, you all, if you need any support, you can go to my website, healwithmoonmama.com, book your coaching sessions and your natal chart sessions. Oh, I'm sorry. And I will be happy to support you in your journey. I love this work. I have been doing this work a while, and I'm starting to really see myself and the clients that I am in support of. Their lives are really beginning to transform, and it's really powerful. So take a spiritual bath today. In your spiritual bath, because it's Monday. Monday rules the moon, and so we work with water on the day that the moon rules. And one way to do that is in a spiritual bath. And so you take the bath and you ask your ancestors to bless you and cleanse you, and you release what you no longer need. I let go of, because we are moving also into the full moon in Leo, which is Wednesday. So this is a lot of energy. There's a lot going on, and I've just been talking for a whole lot, and I hope that all of this is supportive in some way. Peace and blessings, y'all. Bye-bye. Phoenix, you said, how can you learn what kind of spiritual bath to take? If you want, you can come and book a session with me, and I'm happy to help you with that. Or if you just want to do it on your own, you can study the herbs, study the things that are aligned to your what's going on with you, right? Like, so for me, for instance, let me say, so for me, I know today is Monday, and I am still in the process of clearing some, what I'm called, like, what the debris that didn't allow me to ask more questions when I heard the voice say, you're going to get lost. Like, even though everything worked out great, I feel like my mind was filled with another layer of um, thoughts that didn't allow me to really be present. So I'm going to do a clearing bath to clear my mental chatter, to clear how my mental chatter blocks me, because I have paid attention to myself and I have studied myself. And at this time, what I need is to release mental chatter. My mind is a very, very active, busy place, and it blocks my intuition. And so, what will I use for that? um Clearing energy, horsetail, myrrh. Like, I've studied the herbs for clearing. I know what works for clearing, right? So how do you study, and you study yourself, and then you study through herbs or crystals or anything. There's so many ways. or you come and sit down and talk to me, and I'll have a full conversation with you about this for an hour, and you can be clear. It's up to you. All right. Peace and blessings, y'all. Bye.